So, hello guys, how are you? I hope you all are doing good. So, today we are gonna interpret Machiavelli. Let me move to the slide. So, today we are gonna interpret Machiavelli. Machiavelli time period is 1469 AD to 1527 AD. Machiavelli belongs to the region Italy. Italy. He belonged to the time of Renaissance. Renaissance. Renaissance means when the region was developing, and the religion is declining. Religion is declining. He is also known as the child of Renaissance. It was the period of when the medieval age was coming to end and the modern era was rising. Because of the Renaissance, there is development of reason. Because of reason, there is development of science, and science led to the development of industrializations, and the industrialization leads to the capitalism, capitalism, and the capitalism leads to particularism, materialism, materialism, and utilitarianism. He's all he was the first one to separate church and state. Because of his principle, we see the concept of Western secularism. Western secularism. And one more thing, every political thinker is supporter of particular class. So Machiavelli is a supporter of the emerging bourgeois class. Emerging bourgeois class. Bourgeois class, I think you know that who are having the property, and the emerging bourgeois class means the person who are gonna have the property. Means he was the supporter of the middle class. Middle class. Perspective of Machiavelli as a thinker. Machiavelli was a realist. Realist means that to think that what it is. He says the politics is not ethics. Is not ethics. Politics is way to come to the power. Machiavelli is a realist. He supported the materialism. He is the advocate of the properties. Machiavelli is an elitist. He is in the support of the elite people, and his book, The Prince, is a guide to the person who is aspiring to come to the power. Then the Prince is basically the guidelines that how to come to power and what the person in power should do. Machiavelli says if Machiavelli says that the prince should have knowledge of human psychology and history, and to implement it, he should use the empirical method. Empirical method is the scientific method, means to do research on psychology of human beings. Unlike Plato, who says that the knowledge is philosophy, it is not like that. What was the Machiavelli's purpose? As I have said, the Machiavelli belongs to the Europe, particularly to Italy at present time. But it was not then so. Italy was segregated in different states. It was not. It was not together. There was no feeling of nationalism. As Machiavelli was a nationalist person, he got hurt that Italy is not in glory as it was at past. So he wants to regain glory of Italy, and for the decline of the Italy, he considered the two sections as culprit, and they are first is church and second is feudalism. During the Middle Age, church was the higher authority who not only consider the religious matter but it interferes in the religion. He also advises the king. Mostly the bad advices they gave them. So that's why he is not in the favor of the church. Then there was some just about the prince, his book. That who is the prince in his book? What is that? From who is denoting his prince? Who is prince? In Machiavelli's views, the prince is person. Prince is person who is aspiring to come to politics. Aspiring to come politics. The prince book is the statecraft book. That how a ruler rule should rule. He deals with the art of politics. Art of politics rather than philosophy. Philosophy. He has given some instructions in his book Machiavelli to the prince. I'll look into it. On the nature of profession, he says, one who sacrifices what is and what is for what ought to be. What ought to be will not only ruin himself but will also destroy his people. What this statement basically means, then one who sacrifices what is for what ought to be will not only ruin himself but will destroy his people. Then one who sacrifices what is that what you are having right now, and you are not satisfied with it, and you are thinking that what ought to be, then what should be there, what should be, and you are sacrificing that one thing that you are in hand, then it will ruin himself and your loved ones also. Like for take an example, you are preparing for UPSC civil services, and you are in a current job in private sector or any sort of job, but you got the thinking of joining the civil services. So to cope up with the studies, you quit your job, and then here that job is the what it is. It is it in it. This is in your hand, and civil services it is what ought to be. Ought to be means that you want to aspire it. It is not in your hand. You are struggling to get this, but how much the probability? If you not got this, then you are totally removing it and destroying yourself. You are letting the one job that which was in your hand to let it go. It is not gonna work. It is gonna ruin your life. So then be the Machiavelli, follow him. And his one another statement was that how we live is far removed from how we ought to live. One who tries to find goodness in every profession mustn't necessarily come to grief as we live with so many people, live with so many so many people who are not good. Basically, he says how we live is doesn't matter, and how we ought to live. This is also doesn't matter. He says that the finding in goodness in every profession is cannot be the good. He guides the prince. He guides the prince that it is not the ethics that you are finding the goodness in every field. It is necessarily that you could find the bad peoples who are not that good. So he, so if you find some bad people and how we ought to live, or one who tries to find goodness in every profession must necessarily come to give grief. He will come to grief because he is thinking that this person can be the good person. Then, if it is not, then he should be feeling the bad about it. He is bound to be he is bound to be disappointed because of it, and he may get hurt. Hence, the prince suggests that prince suggests hence the Machiavelli suggests that the prince should know how to be bad rather than good. Than his criticism. Machiavelli is one of the most criticized figure in Western philosophy, and Dunning is also the one of the criticizer. He says the Machiavelli is telling the truth about the society. He was telling the truth that all are Machiavellian. He says all are Machiavellian, but no one is ready to accept that they are. One accepts that they are him because he is talking the straightforward thing. He is not taking you around the merry-go-round that how should be then doing the goodly things saying. He's talking the straightforward so that the all follow the Machiavellian. And in your real life, you also follow some of these qualities that in your life. But how it is that the he's criticized for that. And the Savine says Machiavelli is narrowly narrowly dated and narrowly located. He says that if the circumstances of the Machiavelli is like that, so he thinks like that. If he has been in the different era and if the different country or different environment, then his thinking should not be like this. He can think like other thing. If he is in the peaceful society where the concept of nationalism was high, then he might be thinking another way. But he is in the bad, his state, his country is in the bad state, so he thinks like that. So that's what the criticism of. And his another guideline was on human nature, universal egoism. On human nature, he says that man is selfish, coward, fickle minded, fearful, and avaricious. Avaricious means greedy person. According to Machiavelli, by looking into the history and doing empirical studies, that there is various examples that shows that the man is selfish, coward, fickle-minded, and fearful and avaricious. Now elaborate it more. Okay, let's do it. Man is selfish. He says the man always gives primacy to its personal interest rather than over the interest of the nation or the interest of the prince. So Prince says, Machiavelli says that the prince should be careful when he takes support from anyone. Man can betray betray a prince for his personal needs, for his personal interest. With and the another statement was, man is coward by nature. Man is coward by nature. Well, that means the man is fearful. He don't have the guts. So the man is always in the insecurity of his property. Insecurity. So the Machiavelli says that this insecurity can be manipulated can be manipulated by prince by prince by prince in his favor. So he can give him them security of property. He says so long prince will able to convince man that they are secure under that their interests are secure under him. Hello, hello. Okay, so mm, third was, man is avaricious. Man is avaricious, extremely greedy, extremely greedy. Machiavelli says if prince make make condition make condition where people can earn property, then the man will remain loyal to prince because he's gonna have the insecurity that if the prince is not there, then my property can be in danger. My property can be in danger. Machiavelli says man can forget loss of his father. but will never forget loss of his patrimony. He says that the prince should not touch women of women women citizens, because men are very possessive, for them. Now look forward for critical evaluation of Machiavelli's universal egoism. Sabines that the same criticism will also be implemented there, that as the Sabine says that the Machiavelli is narrowly dated and narrowly located. The same criticism which I have given above, that the same will be the implementations, as many says that the Machiavelli has given one-sided view, one-sided view. He has not looked to the other side. He he has exaggerated humans one point, which he has exaggerated more, and he has universally accepted that the man is like that, but it is not so. So that's all for today, and bye.